Hi, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, I want to talk about having an us versus them mentality in your workplace. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the mentality that seems to permeate a lot of businesses, especially as you grow your teams and maybe you have different departments, is that us versus them mentality. It's the mentality of confrontation. It's the mentality of digging in and building defenses in order to protect against an outside influence. And this happens a lot of times in businesses, especially as they're growing, when that culture is not there of a unification. Okay, this is you've allowed this culture of I think what's the word, like kingdom building, of fiefdom within your organization. And if left unchecked, it can actually really bring your organization down and potentially destroy it, right? If it goes on long enough and gets severe enough. And the point being, as leaders of our organizations, as leaders of your workplace, you are responsible for setting the tone of your workplace. You are responsible for laying down those expectations of behavior, for building that culture of what you want that organization to look for or look like. And this is different for everybody, although there are commonalities of what you should be looking for in how you want to build a thriving, growing, successful organization. But as humans, right, our nature is we tend to get into groups, right? Cliques in high school is certainly an example of this. And even just industry specific, right? You got Ford versus Dodge and all kinds of, in our sports teams, right? There are always two groups pitted against each other or individuals. Whatever the case may be, is we're kind of built mentally and naturally to kind of confront other things, right? We want that us versus them kind of mentality is a natural way of thinking. And this is no different in the business place or really relationships or anything of that, right? It permeates a lot of our culture and just our society in general. And this was very prevalent in the military, certainly. Okay, there are many, many, many examples of this in the military because it's kind of what we do. And the military at large, if you weren't aware, right? We're always throwing garbage at each other, and certainly. If you're a football fan at all, the Army-Navy game, Navy Air Force, Army Navy, or Army Air Force games, they're big deals, right? There's a lot of school pride, certainly, as those various academies, football teams battle each other, but it goes beyond into the actual service as well, because obviously there's a lot of graduates from those schools into the service. So you see that a lot, the razzing of each other and hazing of each other during those events, and just in general, especially on a deployed environment, you kind of you dog on each other a little bit, the various services that are counterpart to yours. I've seen this, I've done this, I've been on both ends of this, and usually it's all in good fun, right? We kind of understand that, during peacetime, we're kind of each other's quote unquote enemies and we choose to pick on each other. But when the bullets start flying, we're there for each other, right? The Air Force supports the guys on the ground and, all those various things. I won't get into that too much. But even, shrinking down into smaller organizations, like, for, again, my experience with the Air Force at our squadron level, which, squadron level is anywhere, like the 40 to 100 person range is kind of a squadron typically, right? Ours, I want to say, my last one was around the 60-ish range of crews. And you've got all varying ranks. You've got your brand new, probably 19, 20-year-old that came in straight out of high school. And after they did all their trainings and stuff, they got to as a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old, all the way up to, of course, the commander, who's typically older, late 30s, 40s, something of that nature. But within that, you always have various departments, okay? And I was an operational squadron, so we were a flying squadron, and we had, certainly the operational side of things, and then we had our support people, and we had a little bit more admin-focused people, and all those different, what's the right word? Specialties, right? The jobs that we had in our organization. And it never got really bad, except for in one instance where it kind of did get a very much us versus them. And that's when, out of a need, because we were, honestly, at the time, of course, this was before I got to the squadron, they were doing really bad at some of their kinetic engagements. Just the tactics weren't there. The skills to make these successful as what they could be wasn't quite there. So they developed, the squadron commander at the time developed this crew of guys that were basically really good. They were good at what they did. They cared about getting better at what they did. They were really into the technical aspect of things and how to figure out the tactics and the procedures to become excellent, right? To become basically the top RPA squadron, in the Air Force. But as part of that, they developed this special, I don't know if certification is the right word, because it was completely unofficial. It was only within our squadron. It wasn't anything sponsored by the Air Force. You couldn't find it in any regulations, but it was a kind of a special certification put on by the commander, that these crews, anytime there was a kinetic strike, they would come in and be over the shoulder of whatever crew was in the seat at that time. And it was really to lend their expertise. It was a team environment. It was a way to, as a squadron as a whole, to raise our effectiveness percentage, right? So to quit missing shots and things of that nature. And it was a good thing. It really helped our squadron get kind of not necessarily out of obscurity, but out of that kind of mediocrity into that higher level of performance in our arena. And that was specifically with the kinetic engagements of the RPA. But as with a lot of things, when it kind of goes unchecked, it started to morph a little bit. And you had these different personalities that instead of being that mentors and teachers, they became the quote unquote, the experts, right? The do no wrong type of guys. And they, began to honestly flaunt it a little bit to the point where, and rightly so, the commander gave these guys the authority, these special crews, the authority if they saw that whoever was in the seat wasn't doing well, right? They were too nervous, whatever was happening, that it became apparent that this was not going to go well with a kinetic engagement, which isn't what you want. You're firing live missiles and things of that nature. They had the authority, per the commander, to pull them out of the seat and say, you know what, so-and-so, I'm taking the seat. This is too important, right? This is, a big name on our list of who we've been trying to get. And you're going to take a back seat and I'm going to take this shot. Which, okay, you can make a case for that. But again, it got taken too far. It got taken to where now guys were getting pulled out in a couple instances just because of the nature of the shot in the target of that it was, right? The importance of that. And one or two crews pulled other crews out, not for what I would consider cause, but more because they wanted to be the one that had their name attached behind that shot of getting that certain target. And you can see, at least I hope you can see as I'm talking about this, what the problem is and where this is leading by the title of this Us versus Them. Because after a couple of those times happened, well, then it became these crews are just going to pull anyone out for any of the quote unquote important shots, right? And it quickly morphed. It quickly became these non-special certified crews versus these special crews. And very little was done about it, especially in the early stages. As it became more prevalent and as the animosity grew between the two sects of crews, the commander certainly addressed it, right? And that, no, that wasn't the case. And I'm sure that the commander at the time had one-on-one meetings with those special crews to ensure that wasn't happening. But the point is, it had been allowed, because it hadn't been monitored closely by the commander, the one with the authority to change anything. It hadn't been allowed, or it had been allowed to grow and fester until it became like a legitimate problem and a legitimate, animosity between the two crews. And you can see where this is a problem, because now there's distrust. Now there's a lack of confidence in each other. There's a lack of confidence in motivations and what is having that those special crews that are, supposed to be our tactic experts, are they really there to help us, everyone, get better, or are they there just for them to kind of get that, glory, if you will, out of those particular shots? Because it was designed to help everyone get better, right? So when you're in those type of situations, you've got an experienced person that can lend their advice, they can lend their help, extra set of eyes, extra set of ears, all those things, right? Because in our platform, there are so many inputs of information coming into you, whether it be the phone or chat and video and all those things. It can absolutely be overwhelming. You can easily miss things, especially in the heat of a kinetic situation. But the point being, right, it eventually morphed, and then it became, instead of accepting that help and wanting to be a part of that team, it became a fight almost, right? Not a blowout fight, although if I remember correctly, there were one or two of those kind of blowout fights with that. So I want to encourage you, as these different department heads, or whatever your case is for your situation, maybe it's departmental, right? HR versus, whatever your sales team or something of that nature. In the military, it was pilots versus maintenance. That was notorious, right? The pilots bring the plane back broken and maintenance has to work the weekend to get it operational by Monday again, right? Pilots, the operations side and the maintenance side were notorious for kind of hating each other. In general, ops versus, the admin side, personnelists versus the guys, the ground runners type thing. And then, finance versus everyone, right? Nobody really cared for finance and their 3-hour lunches and their 5-hour work weeks. I kid you not, one time at Tinker Air Force Base, I went to go to finance for something, and there was a sign on their door that they were open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday through Friday, and then closed from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. for lunch every day. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like going, what the heck is going on here? So you're telling me this finance office is open for 3 hours a day for people to come in and get help with their travel vouchers and all that stuff. Anyway, yes, that's kind of why I say finance versus everyone, because that happens a lot. And that may be where you found in your organization that you've got something like that going on, where you've got a certain department or a certain section of your team that everyone else just hates because of, it could be 1,000 different things. I'm not going to go into explore what all that could be for you. But you need to be able to recognize that. Well, first of all, you need to understand that, okay, looking at your hours, and I don't know what was going on with the finance commander or with even the mission support group commander going, hey guys, we're here to serve this base and everyone on it. We can't have our operating hours just be for, 3 hours a day or whatever it is. Because even if you tried calling on the phone, you could not get anybody. I tried that for, lots and lots. I can go on and on. We can do a whole podcast episode just on military finance, but I think you get the picture. So where was I at? So you want to be aware of that as the leader of your organization. One, not having policies in place that will just naturally create that division and create that against each other mentality, whether it be different work hours, different responsibilities. And certainly your different departments have different responsibilities, but the point of it is, and the key of it is how do you bring those varying aspects of your business together, especially if you're a larger organization. And you do that by helping people understand that they are a piece of the overall puzzle, right? No puzzle gets made without the borders, no puzzle gets made without the corners, and no puzzle gets made without the middle. It all comes together to create the whole picture. And you do that, again, by helping people understand they're part of it. Sales cannot do their job unless the thing that they sell gets shipped out, right? By your logistics department, whether it be books or, whatever widget is that you're selling, if it's a physical thing, they have to work together, right? Because if the logistics part stops doing their job, then as people are making sales, then they're getting complaints like, hey man, I ordered this 2 weeks ago. Where is it at? Hasn't even shown it shipped, right? And same thing, if sales doesn't do their job, then there's no reason to have a logistics department because they're not selling anything. Okay. And certainly you've got your other trades like HR and finance and your marketing department, all those things, your COO, your CEO, your CFO, all those people have roles specific, and without each of them, the whole organization fails. And what typically happens is there's no understanding of the purpose of each other person's role. You get so pigeonholed into your own world within that organization, whether it be, again, sales or logistics or, your shipping department, your housekeepers, your admin, front desk, whatever that may be, is their lack of understanding of where they fit and how they are successful. And one of the ways that you can certainly help bring everybody in is sharing those success stories of those various different departments with the whole team, right? It's important that your front desk person or your executive assistants understand that, hey, this is a result that one of our customers had, and you were part of that. You made that happen by helping us run this organization, making sure the phones are answered and emails are responded to, and all those types of things is helping people understand where they fit into that. Okay, because once you let that us versus them mentality get rooted in your organization, it is extremely difficult to get out of. And I would argue the only way you're getting out of it is cleaning house, is getting rid of those guys and that old school mentality of, oh yeah, we hate those ops guys over there, or those salesmen are just a bunch of arrogant jerks, or man, finance just sits around all day and does anything. I tried to get X and Y, Z done from them and they suck, or whatever that is, right? And you don't want to get to that point, because that is way more painful, burning it down and starting from scratch, than it is just to attack it and keep it as part of your culture of you are a team working all together, no matter what your background, education, or specialty is. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope this was beneficial for you and kind of gets you thinking about your team and where this might be happening. Has it moved beyond just good-natured fun and teasing into like some actual bad attitudes or some actual hurt feelings as that happens with people in general? Because again, we're all human. We all have our own baggage and our own lenses that we view things through. And certainly having a tribe to belong to is one of those things. And you don't want that tribalism to take root within your organization. If anything, you want your business to kind of see your competition as the enemy and how to attack them versus each other. All right. Well, hey, have a fantastic day. Make sure your team set up mutual targets. Make sure you guys are cohesive in your goals, in your culture, and everyone understands how they contribute to that of whatever your business is. All right. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Shoot me a message at Kale Houser Leadership if you didn't, or if you did, I would really appreciate it. We've got some pretty incredible guest speakers coming up. I can't wait to share that with you. And I know you're going to find it beneficial. So no matter where you are at in the world, hey, have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.